And welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to another week, another edition of our HomeStory Cup 24 coverage, Group C. I'm of course ShoWTimE VIP, and with me I'm joined by the lovely Rumble, the lovely stage here. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to HomeStory Cup 24, the Galactic Rumble, and this is our coverage of the round robin group stage. Over the past couple of weeks, we've been covering Group A and Group B. And now we are here with group number C again. This event did occur quite some time ago, around a month ago at this point, at the start of December of technically last year. And we are continuing the group stage. Basically, we've been covering this whenever we don't have anything live to cover. And currently, Kung Fu Cup is on hiatus for a season. Well, Kung Fu Cup is technically done for this season. Those that are curious, Kung Fu Cup is typically a weekly tournament that is going on at this time slot. We do cover it live, but it has ended for the winter season, as it comes by in seasons. We have the summer season, then the winter season, and I'm sure the season will start up again in a couple of months when the next season of World Team League comes around. Speaking of, the finals of World Team League are in a couple of days. The World Team League round robin stage has concluded, and starting this Friday, the playoff bracket. Here we go. We're here to crown, or we're soon to crown, of course, the reigning champions, the world champions, for who is the strongest, or what is the strongest team in StarCraft in the winter season. Now we're going to see some back-to-back champions in onside. Will Basilisk get their revenge, and will they take the crown themselves? We'll see. And again, that's going to be in a couple of days. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. 3 days of WTL. But again, because the group stage, the group group stage? The group stage of WTL, and because Kung Fu Cup is on hiatus until the next season, we have a couple of days in the week that are free for some replay casts. And we have a couple of events that we did want to go over. The big one, of course, is HomeStory Cup, the group stage. We're halfway done already. We have 2 more groups to go. And I also wanted to cover the open stage, the open bracket of of ESL Masters Winter, DreamHack Atlanta, essentially, DreamHack Atlanta. Fun fact, we were the only English cast, the only English coverage live of DreamHack Atlanta, the open stage, but because there was so much going on and so many games happening at once, we did our best covering as much as we could, but we could only cover so much, and there's still a lot that went uncasted in the open stage and in the earlier rounds of DreamHack Atlanta. So that's going to be the next thing that we're going to be focusing on, again, during this interim, at the start of the year when we don't have Kung Fu Cup or any other big live coverage. So we're going to be sprinkling in a couple of replay casts here and there throughout these days, throughout these weeks, throughout the next month or so. So we got you covered. So plenty of StarCraft, plenty of StarCraft. So it's possible that you may have already seen the open stage, or the group stage of HomeStory Cup. If you have, refrain from spoilers in the chat. We have not experienced them ourselves. I did tune into the playoffs, but not the group stage of HomeStory Cup. So we are here to bear witness. And just to quickly go over some of those matches, here we go. Bam! Today's matches, we have 5 best of 3s, and that's a lot of Protoss, that's a lot of Terran. I just realized not much Zerg. Next time we'll get some Zerg. So there wasn't much Zerg representation in Group C. We casted players like Lambo and Fiant in previous groups. This group was all about the Protoss and the Terran. There is one Zerg player. There's one Zerg player in this group that we're going to be casting next time. That is Stefano. Stefano did make his return after a very long hiatus in HomeStory Cup, kind of a guest appearance, a guest performance in HomeStory Cup, which is really exciting. I'll just quickly switch over. Bam, there you go. So you can see there, Stefano. We'll be casting some of Stefano's matches next week. Essentially, we have the group stage was really big. It was round robin, so a lot of games were played, and we're not going to cast everything in one go. Calm down, papi, calm down. We're not casting everything in one go. So today, we're just going to be covering the first half. The second half will be, again, next time. Just for some transparency. And up first we have ShoWTimE versus ForJumy, followed by Skillous versus Baby Marine, Skillous versus Spirit, ForJumy versus Baby Marine, and ShoWTimE versus Skillous to end the night in a PvP. So again, some big names here, and as you can see, kind of the bigger names and the bigger players in this group are ShoWTimE and Skillous, alongside Spirit. I would say they are top 3, and it is top 2 that make it out of the group. So it is a brutal format, a really brutal round robin stage, but I'm really looking forward to seeing some of these other up-and-comers like ForJumy and Baby Marine to see how well they can perform against some of these other established names. So my eyes are definitely on them. Meanwhile, when it comes to Stefano's matches, we'll be leaving them for next time. And Stefano, of course, a little bit out of practice. He has retired many times by this point, I'm pretty sure. Stepped away from the game, come back to the game, and I think more than anything, like, he was just more than happy to fill in here and be a part of HomeStory Cup, be a part of the atmosphere and the environment once again. It is really cool to see that he's still willing to be a part of the scene, and I'm sure, of course, has some longtime friends and kind of relationships with a lot of the casters, players, and community members as well. So yeah, really cool to see that Stefano was a part of this event, and we'll be getting to his matches. We'll get there. We'll get there, but for the most part, we have our up-and-coming matches already set in stone. Stefano, yeah, exactly. Hello, Terror Lord in the chat. Hello, shout out to Wormshik, dzień dobry. Babyling, Bekoeta, Kibrit. Cyclone's the first quacker for today. Easy Phil as well. Welcome. Bienvenidos. And yeah, these are going to be our matches here for the night. So 5 best of 3s, and we will have a break in the middle of it as well, just to kind of cut things up, just to slice things up. So a bit of a lighter day of StarCraft here. I mean, this is still going to be like a solid, maybe around 3-ish hours, but a little bit shorter than our usual broadcast length, which I'm more than happy for. Again, you know, it's still like the first week of January. We're easing our way into the year, calming things down. Our weekend is going to be very intense. I mentioned before, we have WTL, we have KSL, we have a New Year's event that we're going to be hosting on Friday as well. We have plenty of other events like the Masters Christmas Cups. We got New Year's and Christmas events that are coming up a little bit late, but they're on the way, and many other events as well. So I need some coffee inside me for all of that. We'll be there. Also, OSC, right, the OSC championships, they're tomorrow. I'm just looking at the calendar. Yeah, tomorrow we have other events going on as well. We're getting into it. It's going to be a busy year, a busy 2024. I look forward to it. But here we go. We're diving into our first series. It's going to be ShoWTimE versus ForJumy, game 1 on Site Delta. Let's dive on in. Let us dive in. And spawning in the top left-hand corner of Site Delta, we have the German Protoss player, the blue Protoss, representing his team, Little Fairy. It is ForJumy. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the red Protoss player, representing his team, Berlin International Gaming, BIG. It is ShoWTimE. The first of many PvPs that we're going to be having tonight. And again, a PvP, anything can happen. Now, winding the clock back a little bit here, because we also casted the group stage of HomeStory Cup 23 earlier this year. Oh, I can't even say. Early last year, technically. True. Oh my, it's going to be weird saying that. Earlier last year, we did cover HomeStory Cup 23. And if you remember, it was a bittersweet HomeStory Cup because ForJumy was a part of that. We did cast him, but for those that are maybe unaware, ForJumy almost didn't make it to HomeStory Cup because he had an accident. He had an IRL accident, unfortunately. I believe he was in a bike accident where he had actually broken his arm. He had a cast on, and he was recovering, and because of that did kind of, you know, impact his ability to play the game. And a lot of people, myself included, were like, oh, that's such a shame. Like, it means he won't be able to participate in HomeStory Cup. But he played anyways. Crazy. He played in HomeStory Cup anyway. He said that he had, you know, felt good enough to try to play the game. And fun fact, in HomeStory Cup 23, they had some bonus prizes, and one of the bonus prizes was the best cheese of the tournament. So because ForJumy couldn't actually play for too long, his goal every single game that he played in the group stage was to cheese every single game to get the prize. He just all in every single game in the group stage of HomeStory Cup, and a really good effort, you know. I mean, considering his, you know, state of being and the fact that he was playing in a cast, and for him to still compete and find a way to earn money. And I think he did win the prize. I can't remember who won it. But again, he just came out with something crazy every game, just all in game after game. So he had a very standout performance, or a very memorable performance last edition's HomeStory Cup. And as I bring that up, we are proxying again. Nowadays, though, for this edition, of course, ForJumy has recovered. You know, he was able to recover from his injuries and all that good stuff. He's competing quite regularly nowadays, and he's going for a gate expand, but no, it is going to be a 3-gate opener. Meanwhile, ShoWTimE going for something more economic here, going for a gate expand into that Stargate. I believe it was a second gas first, so it was a faster Stargate here from ShoWTimE. Did start up the Oracle, but now starting up a Void Ray instead. Looks like he's maybe recognizing something is wrong. Basically, a Void Ray first is a big sign of defensive play. Cancels the Oracle, goes for the Void Ray, has a shield battery as well. ShoWTimE is ready to defend. He's doing his best Max Pax impression, essentially going for an economic opener and turtling up here on 2 bases initially. Meanwhile, ForJumy is all in, and the probe scout, oh, the probe does come across the proxy. ShoWTimE is now aware of what's going on. Again, it's going to be a 3-gate, sorry, did I say 3 gates? 4 gates all in. We have 2 gateways here on the low ground, 1 gateway the main, 1 proxy across the map. That's going to be a proxy, or it's going to be straight up 4-gate all in here from ForJumy. All or nothing. Does get a couple of probes already with his Adept. Pretty good start here for ForJumy, going to be limiting the economy that ShoWTimE has available. Meanwhile, ShoWTimE is now aware of what's happening. He's not fully aware of how all in this is or what build this is. It could be 3-gate with a Twilight Council and Blink, for all he knows. Like, that is also a possibility, but just knows he has to defend. Second shield battery on the way. Overcharge going to be available as well here for ShoWTimE. The Void Ray count is amassing. ForJumy going to be backing up for the time being. He's going to back off. Is still just mustering up his army. How many Stalkers do we have? We have 8 Stalkers, 9 Stalkers right now, as well as an Adept. His goal here is to try to catch this Void Ray, maybe even lure it out into the open if possible. Here we go. We dive on top of the army. Void Rays, they do pull back. 1 Stalker going to be falling. We dive on the Void Rays, but it looks like the shield battery overcharge is just too good. We do pop the overcharge. Void Rays, they will survive. Yeah, the overcharge keeping everything alive here. Looking at the units lost tab. So far, we've lost 1 Stalker for ForJumy, trading 1 for 1. So far, barely keeping that second Stalker alive. The overcharge has run out. Oh, but he loses a second Stalker for a Zealot. Not the best trade from ForJumy. He's going to try to force his way in, trading 1 for 1. Gets the first Void Ray. A second Void Ray has arrived, though. A bit of a misclick there from ShoWTimE. Uh-oh. Likewise, another misclick from ForJumy as well. Both players sipping up here, and the third shield battery does finish. Ay, ay, ay. That's... well, everyone's nervous. Everyone's nervous, puppy, as ForJumy has to back off from here, and he's running out of steam. He lost 7 Stalkers in the process. We still have 2 Void Rays. We're about to have a third with a 4th shield battery on the way. We should be perfectly fine. We have 2 pylons, just making sure everything stays powered. A couple of boys are pulled as well to draw some of the attention, to draw some of the DPS. ForJumy goes for a Twilight Council. He is transitioning. It looks like ForJumy has maybe realized that he cannot break his opponent, but he's all in. Like, there's no expansion. There's nothing behind this, and ShoWTimE has been probing. He's been making workers behind this, getting into another gateway just so he can produce an army to support. How many shield batteries? 5 shield batteries on the low ground. Oh my god. Now, with a Twilight Council, we can go into Blink. We can maybe try to bypass the armor, but this is just such a late tech structure and such a late upgrade. Adepts will shade in, though. Oh my god. 2 Adepts do one-shot workers, so we're going to get some damage done. How many probes exactly will we kill? We get 1, we get 2, we should barely get 3. Oh, so close. Get 3 probes, not too bad. 3 workers do go down. And it is not going to be Blink, it's going to be Dark Templar, but Robo is on the way. We have access to an Oracle if need be. It's a risky maneuver here for ForJumy, going for Blink and Dark Shrine at the same time. Went behind Dark Shrine, but again, like, the longer this goes on, the better it is for ShoWTimE. He's now getting further and further ahead in the economy. Adept say Shaden again for a third time. He's got another probe. No shield battery in the mineral line, by the way. We got another 2 probes, actually. Very nicely done. Blink being chronoed as we speak. Dark Shrine gets cancelled. Wise choice, basically, for Jimmy. With that Adept Scout, he saw the robo. He saw the robo, so he knows, okay, there's actually no way for the Dark Templar to get any damage done. Chances are an Observer is going to be prioritized. So ForJumy knows that just would not work. Yeah, oh, Immortal first, though. I mean, it's already cancelled at this point. So ForJumy just really respecting the tech of ShoWTimE. And he's still all in, by the way. He still has not expanded. He's still just amassing Stalkers now. How many Stalkers? We have 17! 17 Stalkers to the 3 of ShoWTimE. But it's not about the Stalkers, it's about the Void Rays. That's the thing. Void Rays, they can chew through Stalkers with their Prismatic Alignment. There are 5 shield batteries as well to support this, plus an Overcharge, plus Immortals. There's the Observer on the way. We have an Immortal to help support, and we're pushing out. Oof. 2 Stalkers already. This is pretty important. Again, every Stalker counts here for ForJumy. He's trying to lure out the army. Blink is done! We dive on the army. There we go. We do focus down the first Void Ray. This is the first Immortal as well. And it looks like we can catch every single unit here. But is it worth it? Do we have enough? We got all 4 Void Rays. We get the Void Rays. We get the Immortal. Big pickups here from ForJumy, but can he break his opponent? He's got 10 Stalkers to the 6 of his opponent, and now he pulled back to the shield batteries. It was a good start, fighting away from the shield battery, away from the overcharge, out in the open. Best case scenario for ForJumy. But he still has to push up this ramp. That's the thing. And now we have an Immortal coming out. We have an Immortal across the map. We have Adepts threatening the natural. Pilot's going to be going down, but GG gets called, and ShoWTimE will hold, and we'll take game number 1. Ooh. GG. GG, well played. Again, a really solid defense there from ShoWTimE. Really good scout as well. Remember, ShoWTimE did probe scouts and did come across the proxy gateway. That let him know to just double down on the defensive course on site Delta. And we saw that, again, ForJumy did just slip up a little bit too much and did trade a little bit too poorly. When it came to that final fight out in the open, that was, again, best case scenario for ForJumy. He was hoping to catch the army out in the open, was maybe hoping there wasn't an Immortal. The Immortal did tank 2 volleys. It took a lot of hits there, added a lot of DPS as well. The Immortal did help ShoWTimE quite a lot. Otherwise, there would have been extra Stalkers left over, and maybe ForJumy breaks him. Maybe he does have enough there to break into the natural, if there wasn't that Immortal. But the Immortal did help quite a lot, actually, for ShoWTimE. GG. GG, well played. With that, ShoWTimE does take the first game, and now we're getting into game number 2. Ooh. Here we go. Light is still stuck in 2023. True. Didn't Fiant win it or something? I think Fiant did win it. I do think he did win it. I remember that. Which is a bit of a shame, but, you know, regardless, shout out to ForJumy. And here we go. Spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of Oceanborn, we have the blue Protoss player from the land of Germany, representing Team Little Fairy. It is ForJumy. And spawning in the top left-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the red Protoss player representing Berlin International Gaming. BIG. It is ShoWTimE. Here we go. Again, the other problem with all-inning, especially on site Delta, is that site Delta does have a ramp coming into the natural, so you also have that high ground advantage and the point of elevation to just help defend. That's also why it's so much more difficult to all-in a player on site Delta, why it's a lot more common to go for a gate expand on site Delta as well. But now as we load into Oceanborn, ShoWTimE going for a 2-gate opener. Again, there isn't that safety ramp coming into the natural like there was on the previous map, which is why it is typically considered to be unsafe to go for something like that, to go for that kind of opener. So 2 gateways here from ShoWTimE, 2 gateways from ForJumy. This time, standard openers and both players are mirroring each other. And the question becomes, does anyone proxy their pylon? Proxy their second pylon specifically. As we can see, there's no probe out on the map for ShoWTimE. ForJumy, yeah, throws down his pylon here on the low ground. I'm loving like the mind games here. With that low ground pylon, it looks like it might be a proxy, so ShoWTimE is a little bit in the dark. Meanwhile, the second pylon is thrown down in the main base for ShoWTimE, so actually, I just realized ForJumy didn't scout. Bold here, bold. I mean, ShoWTimE doesn't really have a reputation for all-inning in this matchup, so it makes sense. Technically, ForJumy does have a much more efficient and economic opener, and ShoWTimE may be deceived into believing the second pylon is proxied, but there we go. We go down to the low ground, and we do get eyes on that pylon. ShoWTimE is aware. But look at this, he sent a second probe out on the map to scout, so he was paranoid, he was looking for a proxy, believing that it was elsewhere, and ForJumy is expanding. So, economic opener here from ForJumy. ShoWTimE has some extra lost resources because of all this scouting. It's scouting something that doesn't exist. And ShoWTimE going to be opening up double gateway. Sorry, double gateway into double stalker, into 2 more stalkers behind this. So ShoWTimE is going to have a little bit more aggressive potential here in the early game, especially because, as you can see, ForJumy, he cut unit production to throw down this earlier Nexus. That's why he only has 1 Stalker on the way. Now we have a 2nd Stalker in production as well. But again, all this kind of was delayed to be more economic, and ShoWTimE is going to have to try to punish this. He is here. Hallucination going to be moving out. ShoWTimE has arrived. ForJumy just zoning a bit this back. Shield battery does finish up in time, and ForJumy is going to be able to hold on to his bases. And now ShoWTimE recognizes what's been going on. Now he realizes that, oh, I've been bamboozled a little bit, and ForJumy is just opening up much more standard and macro-oriented. Additional stalkers are arriving. ShoWTimE slightly behind in that worker count. With 4 stalkers, he has quite a force here, but yeah, we have 3 stalkers to defend, plus a shield battery. ForJumy is perfectly safe, perfectly sound behind this. Twilight Council on the way, and a Forge for +1. Likewise, ShoWTimE also getting into his own Twilight Council and going for a delayed expansion. So all in all here, ForJumy is looking ahead. He's ahead in economy specifically. And soon to be ahead in upgrades. That faster Forge can be very impactful here as the game goes on, with a big +1 timing and an even bigger +2 timing. So ForJumy will have better stalkers as the game goes on. Blink is going to be around the same time for both players, but again, that +1 can be huge. At the same time, we do see ShoWTimE going to be threading a shade into the main base. We do wall off in time. Do that out of that shield battery. ForJumy is safe and sound in the main base. And again, the pressure is on ShoWTimE to find some worker damage, and I do like this though. So instead of killing workers, ShoWTimE is taking a faster third. So ShoWTimE, I mean, he does have map control at the moment. He does have quite a marauding force, so he knows he's safe enough to take a faster third base and catch up this way. Meanwhile, that's the gateway explosion. That is scattered as well. Big scat here from ShoWTimE. Does see 4 gates, 6 gates in total on the way. ShoWTime's going to be down in production, but he does have that faster third to catch up to have a stronger mid game. But does ForJumy intend to expand, or are we just going to be pushing with +1? That's a big question here. Gateways are finishing up, +1 about to finish up as well. ForJumy going to be pushing out. As he moves out, ShoWTimE moves in. Ooh, 1 stalker going to get picked off. Pretty good start already here from ShoWTimE. But ForJumy doesn't want to turn around. Now, this is a little bit scary. ForJumy doesn't have a way to reinforce. He has no Robo, he has no Warp Prism, but he's going for the Proxy Pylon. And here we go. +1 about to finish up in a couple of seconds. Really strong timing here for ForJumy. The Force Fields going to be zoning back the army. At the same time, reinforcements are on the way. Shield batteries are not done yet. They're not going to finish. They're not going to finish here for ShoWTimE either. Yeah, ForJumy taking the better fight. Blinks are looking good though from ShoWTimE. Oh, picks off a Stalker. Does pick up a Stalker, but here come the reinforcements. There's going to be a slow warp, and it's going to take some time to really kick in. ForJumy diving on this army. Good blinks once again from ShoWTimE. But he will dive on this. And ForJumy, he barely has enough. Boys are being pulled. That will help a little bit. Shield batteries are finishing. But ShoWTimE is being zoned away. There we go. He blinks towards the shield battery. Overcharge does finish up. Overcharge is popped. ShoWTimE, he's holding. He's trying to, but that's a lot of Stalkers. That's double the Stalker count here for ForJumy. Again, it's all because of his production. Those 6 gateways coming in clutch with +1 as well. ForJumy just all in here. And it looks like, has he barely broken through? Again, there's no overcharge, not anymore. We have additional shield batteries on the way, but it might just be too late. Another slow. These slow warp-ins are so painful to watch, but they're coming. They are coming. Good target firing there from ShoWTimE. Picks off another Stalker with a little he has. Immortal does arrive. We have the Immortal. We dive on top of the army, though. Immortal is going to be focused down. 2 volleys. ShoWTimE is just being zoned away from his third base. Behind this, ForJumy is taking his own expansion. He's attempting to transition out of this. Yeah, we dive on the army itself. Another Immortal has arrived, though. ForJumy getting punished. Yeah, there's the overcharge as well. The Nexus will fall. We dive on top of the Immortal, out of range of the overcharge. Bit of an overextension from ShoWTimE. The overcharge helping here towards the end, but the damage has been done. The third base has been shut down. And we have enough to break through the natural. GG gets called, and ForJumy ties up the series 1-1. GG. Let's go. GG. And again, ShoWTimE, he did scout everything. Bear that in mind. He saw all the gateways. He saw the gateways. He was aware of his own lack of gateways, his own third base as well. But despite seeing what was coming his way, again, he had very little time to prepare. If you remember, the first wave of shield batteries were denied. The first wave of shield batteries were killed or were forced to be cancelled. They didn't finish in time. We had Immortal production on the way, but it took some time to really get into that as well. And yeah, ShoWTimE, essentially, the resources that his opponent spent on production, he had spent on that third base and was not able to get away with it. It was a really crisp timing from ForJumy and did break through. Did end up shutting ShoWTimE down. And we are going to the ace match, and I'm already surprised. Again, when it comes to the Protoss players in Europe, a lot of people look at max packs, they look at ShoWTimE, they look at Skillus for game number, they look at Skillus as well as top 3, and there are so many other Protosses out there. It's so difficult to stand out. You have players like Geralt, you have players like Christiana, you have so many of the Polish Protoss players, and I feel like ForJumy is also in the middle of that pack, right? The middle of the mid-tier European Protosses. But for him to take game over ShoWTimE, really impressive. Really impressive stuff. Let's go. So we're getting into the ace match. Game 3. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Solaris, we have the German Protoss player, the blue Protoss representing Team Little Fairy. It is ForJumy. And spawning in the top right-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the red Protoss player representing Berlin International Gaming, BIG. It is ShoWTimE. ShoWTimE maybe not respecting the all-in enough from ForJumy. Was caught a little bit with his pants down. Ooh, off of a pretty wild game. Remember, the reason there's so much that came into that game as well. Like, it wasn't just the fact that ForJumy went for a 2-base all-in with 6 gateways. It wasn't just the fact that ShoWTimE took a fast third. But if you remember, ShoWTimE felt pressured to take a fast third because ForJumy took a really fast natural. Remember, it was the second gateway was on the pylon, sorry, was on the low ground. ShoWTimE thought it was an all-in. ForJumy cut his third Stalker to make a faster expansion. Like, there was so much that came into that game, and so much kind of setup to that position that ForJumy found himself in, where ShoWTimE felt like it was necessary to cut corners and be greedy and be economic to catch up with his opponent, when really his opponent was going all in. There's like layers. There's like layers that went into that, and that's what I appreciate out of mirror matchups specifically, where both players have the same tools at their disposal, but it's about how they use them. Speaking of, ForJumy once again going for a fake proxy pylon. This time though, not at his natural, this time it's at his third base location. So ShoWTimE is going to come in, and ShoWTimE will soon recognize, hold up, the pylon is missing just like last game, but is it a real proxy pylon or is it fake? Last game it was fake, this time also. I mean, kind of. We're keeping the probe here, which is interesting to me. Again, ShoWTimE, he's going to be going for another rotation here in the main, again looking for that pylon. Meanwhile, ShoWTimE has his own second pylon here in his own main base. Ooh, and we are going for a Stargate opener. Okay. So both players went double gateway. ShoWTimE is going into double adept into an oracle. So a very aggressive start here from ShoWTimE. Meanwhile, ForJumy going for a... oh my god. Going for a proxy Twilight Council. Are we rushing into DTs? This feels like a Dark Templar rush. Obviously Blink is on the table as well for like a one base Blink all in. But to proxy the Twilight Council in such a way, we'll see. Probe does not get into the main base. If this is Dark Templar, this is very unfortunate, just because it's a Stargate opener, which means we should be having oracles to harass, and oracles that can also use revelations. Okay, Blink is going to be on the way, not Dark Templar. I imagine we're going to be seeing a third gateway soon for a 3-gate Blink. As we are pushing out across the map here, we do bypass the initial depths. No, they get in! ForJumy a little bit late there with the wall off. He does miss. And the Adepts, they get into the main base. They're going to be killing, what, 3, almost 4 probes? Oof. Very nice damage here from ShoWTimE. ForJumy slipping up a little bit there in the defense. Meanwhile, back at home, Oracle's going to be on the way. The problem here is that ForJumy hasn't seen the tech. He doesn't know about the Stargate opener. He doesn't know he has to be in position to defend. Thankfully, there are 2 Stalkers here back at home. He's taking his third base. We're rushing into Blink, that is true, but we're not fully making use of it. Instead of throwing down a third and even 4th gateway, it is an expansion. ShoWTimE does scout the proxy. Gets in position. Gets fended off here by ForJumy. So far, good defense here from our blue Protoss player, and the probe scout from ShoWTimE confirms the expansion. He may have been lured into thinking it was an all-in, but now he knows that, again, he should be pretty safe here against an economic opener. ShoWTimE going to be taking a bit of a later expansion, and instead of going into his own Twilight Council, we have a Robo. This should be for Immortal production. So there's going to be an interesting dynamic here, where ForJumy has faster Blink, so he has a more mobile Stalker army and a larger Stalker army, especially with ShoWTimE investing into Adepts. So ShoWTimE knows he can't really play catch-up here in a mirror matchup, instead going for Immortals. Immortals, they help you, or they help make up for a lack of Stalkers. You could be down 4, 5, 6 Stalkers, and a handful of Immortals can go a long way to really refine your army and allow you to stand tall against Blink Stalkers. Speaking of, Stalkers are moving out. They're fanned out here across the map, looking for any kind of Oracle moving out, any kind of stray unit, pylon. Behind this, no gateway explosion, so we're poking and prodding. There is a stasis trap. But ForJumy doesn't intend on committing. He's just, again, testing the waters. Making sure that everything is on the up and up. Does confirm the expansion, so now ForJumy knows he isn't being all-in. And the Oracle is getting ready to dive into the main. There is a shield battery in position. We are safe against 1 Oracle. Oh my god, that was so close. I don't think ForJumy saw the shimmer, but that was still very too close for comfort for me. Oh my god. My heart, Papi, my heart. Stasis almost went off. Oracle dipping in between the bases. Gets eyes on the natural, on the main base, and we have a third on the way, so ForJumy dives into the main. Again, he has a high ground with hallucination, depowers the gateways. Goes straight for that robo as well. He's going to get another pylon, and he's going to have to recall the hell out of here. He does have Blink available, though. And he will retreat. He will back the hell off. No, he doesn't have the Immortal. Bold move here from ForJumy. He will get the Immortal, gets a pylon, gets a Stalker as well. Shield batteries are depowered, and ForJumy, does he have too much? Here and now. This was not meant to end the game, by the way. This was meant to harass. Gets the Immortal, gets Stalkers. There's one Stalker left and one Adept. It looks like we're running out of steam. ForJumy running out of his army. Did overstay his welcome, but he did kill 5 probes. From here, he does dive on out. And that wasn't a bad trade. Oh, triggers the shield battery? The stasis trap. He did see, he did know. And again, he's going to be getting his 3rd base. So ForJumy, he does take an economic lead. ShoWTimE is not going for an all-in. He's not going for a 2-base all-in to respond. He's taking his own 3rd. He's moving out. Yes, but he runs into the army. Ooh, bit of a move command. Rough move command there from ForJumy. Meanwhile, his probes are going down here at the 3rd base. ShoWTimE is fighting back. He catches 2 Stalkers in the center of the map. He catches 4 probes. ShoWTimE is still behind economically, but he is gaining value. Ooh, that is a proxy gateway, and that is 5 gates in production. 7 gates in total, by the way. ForJumy wants to double down here on mass gateway units, but he doesn't have +1 this time. Unlike previously, he doesn't have a +1 timing to go for. Going for charge instead. There's that Forge on the way. So it looks like he just intends to saturate the space. He is not taking gases. Bear that in mind. He's not taking any gases at his natural or at his 3rd. It means that he wants to rely on pure charge loss to support. It means these Stalkers are very valuable as well, because he won't really be remaking too many of them. He's going to be reinforcing mainly with Zealots, and he's going to be careful with how he uses these Stalkers. Does chip away at that 3rd base. Immortals have arrived. Decent force fields, but there's just not enough DPS here, not enough firepower to work through these Immortals. Overcharge was popped. Charge still on the way. There's a reinforcing wave of Zealots. Oh, the Adepts! 2 of them get into the mineral line, and they one-shot probes. 2 workers go down. No mining here at the 3rd base whatsoever. Or delayed mining. Double Oracle into the main base. ShoWTimE doing a great job here at harassing. Again, ShoWTimE is behind in the economy, and he is catching up. Gets 6 probe kills. Oh, did I say 6? 9! Oh my god. 9 probe kills, and we're not done. We go for a drive-by here at the 3rd base as well. Almost getting another probe this time, though. We are in position. But again, ForJumy, he wanted to knock down this base. He wanted to knock down this 3rd, but he's lost so much momentum, and now suddenly ShoWTimE, he is the one with the economic advantage. He's up in workers. Up, what, 12 probes. He's got his additional gases. He's working on +1. A blink of his own. Immortal production well underway. We have 2 Immortals, soon to be 3. ShoWTimE is still pushing. Sorry, ForJumy is still pushing, but this is significantly weaker than it otherwise would have been. It's weaker. It's later. Everything is coming up ShoWTimE here. He's got 2 shield batteries, plenty of stasis traps as well to catch some of these Zealots. He has an overcharge soon to be ready. ForJumy looking for another way in. Does get a warp in into the main, actually. Does draw away the army. That means we can push in. Stasis trap is triggered. Another big warp in into the main base. Prism's going to go down, but the warp in finishes. The warp in does complete. ForJumy getting a couple of free Zealots here and there. Nice pickups. Another stasis trap could be triggered as well. Oh no! Oh my god. It's so close. There we go. ForJumy does bait it out. He dives on top of the Immortals. Overcharges pop, but he gets 1. It's so close. He gets 1 Immortal. Gets a 2nd Immortal as well. ForJumy cleaning up every single Immortal. Zealots, they come in to reinforce. Even with the overcharge, ForJumy, he has too much. GG gets called. And ForJumy takes the 2-1. Takes down ShoWTimE. GG. Oh my god. Papi. GG, well played. ForJumy takes down ShoWTimE. First series of the day. Impressive. Impressive here. Again, I was really impressed by the previous game where ForJumy, again, there were kind of like layers to the all-in. Here, likewise, ForJumy also took an economic lead. It was very ballsy when he, if you recall, the moment where he blinked into the main base, where he was picking off Immortals, picking off Stalkers, picking off probes. He found himself with a lead. But then ShoWTimE likewise doing a great job at coming back. I do think that if it wasn't for the Warp Prism in the main base, ShoWTimE would have held. Like, I feel like a frontal assault would not have worked. It was so clutch there for ForJumy to slip that Warp Prism into the main base towards the end of the game, to actually finish an extra warp in of Zealots in the main base as well, to force ShoWTimE to split up his army, to send his reinforcements to his main base. And that meant that his main force, his third base was that much weaker as a result, and ForJumy barely able to pull that off, barely able to pull off that essentially all in. I mean, ForJumy, he had a good economy behind it, but remember, ForJumy didn't have tech on the way. He didn't take any gases at his natural or his third. Like, he was very committed with that style. Barely did make it work. GG. GG, well played. Congratulations to ForJumy for winning this first series. Again, a little bit unexpected. Coming into this, ShoWTimE was the heavy favorites, but it's a PvP. Anything can happen, and upsets like this can really swing and sway a group in a really weird direction, because it's a round robin group stage and only top 2 make it out. Every single game counts here, and for some of these big names like ShoWTimE and Skillous and Spirit, they're all looking to perform as best they can, and whoever slips up first, they're gonna have a hard time recovering here in this group. So GG. GG, well played. With that, ForJumy does start things off with a win, and we're going to be tipping on over here to some of the other players in this group. Up next, we have Skillous versus Baby Marie in a PvT.